Hello friends, welcome back to the channel that intends to promote growth and well-being of us all. In this session, we shall be delving deeper into the topic of fear. From Krishnamurti's point of vision, we shall try to understand why fear arises, what it does to us, and how we can rise over it. Let us first try to understand what fear actually is and why it arises in the first place. Let's do so while keeping in mind that we are not trying to address the physical fear, that which is healthy, normal, and natural, rather the desire to protect oneself, the psychological protection of oneself, the desire to always be certain that breeds fear. Could that fear which then arises simply be the non-acceptance of what is? After all, when we perceive what is, we don't have to make an effort to accept it. It's only when we do not clearly see that which is that we then bring in the process of acceptance. As such, fear is the destructive energy that withers the mind, distorts thoughts, and leads to all kinds of extraordinarily clever and subtle theories, absurd superstitions, dogmas, and beliefs. Such fear could be both inborn and acquired, And since such fear is related to the past, to free the thought feeling from it, the past must be comprehended through the present. The past is ever wanting to give birth to the present, which becomes the identifying memory of the me, and the mine, the I, and thus, it's the root of all the psychological fears. Fear of any kind breeds illusion, corrupts in various ways, and makes the mind empty and shallow. There are dark corners in the mind which can never be investigated and exposed as long as one is afraid. The psychological self-protectiveness makes one afraid of disease, of death, of an enemy. There's also fear of pain. Physical pain is a nervous response, but psychological pain arises when we hold on to things that give us satisfaction, for then we are afraid of anything or anyone that may take them away from us. The psychological accumulations prevent psychological pain as long as they are undisturbed. That is, we are a bundle of accumulations, experiences, which prevents any serious forms of disturbance, and we do not want to be disturbed. Therefore, we are afraid of anyone who disturbs them. Thus, our fear is of the known. We are afraid of the accumulations, physical or psychological, that we have gathered as a means of warding off pain or preventing sorrow. Knowledge also helps to prevent pain, as medical knowledge helps to prevent physical pain. So beliefs help to prevent psychological pain, and that is why we are afraid of losing our beliefs, though we have no perfect knowledge or concrete proof of the reality of such beliefs. One may claim that fear arises from conscience, but one's conscience is formed by one's conditioning, so conscience is still the result of the known, of the past. Dependence on things, on people, or on ideas breeds fear. Dependence arises from ignorance, from the lack of self-knowledge, from inward poverty. Fear causes uncertainty of mind-heart, preventing communication and understanding. Are we afraid of things as they are, or are we afraid of what we think they are? For instance, are we afraid of the fact of death or the idea of death? The fact is one thing, and the idea about the fact is another. Because we are afraid of the word of the idea, we never understand the fact. We never look at the fact and are never in direct relation with it. We tend to obey, copy, follow, because we are frightened inwardly and we want to be certain, financially, morally. We want to be approved, we want to be in a safe position, we want to never be confronted with trouble, pain, suffering. We want to be enclosed. So, fear, consciously or unconsciously, makes us obey the master, the leader, the priest, the government. Fear also controls us from doing something that may be harmful to others, because we will be punished. So behind all these actions, greed, pursuits, lurks the desire for certainty, the desire to be assured. Without resolving fear, without becoming free from fear, merely to obey or be obeyed has little significance. Fear also makes us identify with our country, religion, society, and idea. Identification is the process of self-forgetfulness. So long as I am conscious of the me, I know there is pain, there is struggle and constant fear. But if I can identify myself with something greater, with something worthwhile, with beauty, with life, truth, belief, knowledge, at least temporarily, there is an escape from the me. Up until now, the moment we encounter fear, all we do is to focus on how to get rid of it. However, when we merely want to get rid of fear, simply escaping from it, there can be no freedom from fear. Where there is fear, there is no freedom, there is no love at all. Simply trying to uncover the cause and knowing the cause of fear does not eliminate fear. We cannot wipe away fear without understanding, without actually seeing into the nature of time, which means thought, which means word. Is there thinking without the word, which is memory? Without seeing the nature of the mind, the movement of the mind, the process of self-knowing, merely saying that I must be free of fear has very little meaning. Take fear in context of the whole of the mind. To go into all this, you need energy, which is often dissipated when one's battling with words, resisting, condemning, or are full of opinions which prevent you from looking, seeing. Your energy is all gone in that. So, in the consideration of this perception, this seeing, again you open the door. It's through self-awareness that we begin to discover and comprehend the cause of fear, not only the superficial, but the deep, casual, and accumulative fears. The moment you've found out the nature and the structure of fear, fear itself comes to an end. You don't have to do anything about it. When fear is observed without the observer, there is action, but not the action of the observer acting upon fear. When you come directly into contact with fear, there is a response of the nerves and the rest of it. Then, when the mind is no longer escaping through words or through activity of any kind, there is no division between the observer and the thing observed as fear. It is only the mind that is escaping that separates itself from fear. But when there is a direct contact with fear, there is no observer, there is no entity that says, I am afraid. So, the moment you are directly in contact with life, with anything, there is no division. And it is the division that breeds competition, ambition, fear. If we seek a way, a method, a system to be rid of fear, we will everlastingly be caught in fear. But if you understand fear, which can only take place when you come in direct contact with it, as you are in contact with hunger, as you are directly in contact when you are threatened with losing your job, then you do something. Only then will you find that all fear ceases. We mean all fear, not of this kind or of that kind. The cessation of fear does not lie in the act of becoming courageous, for in all becoming there is seed of fear. In trying to understand fear from day to day and how fear shows up itself in different ways, can one be free from fear. And it's only when there is freedom from fear that there is this inward quality of understanding, that aloneness in which there is no accumulation of knowledge or of experience. And it is that alone which gives extraordinary clarity in the pursuit of the real. It is only when we are in complete communion with the fact that there is no fear. There is fear as long as we are not in communion with the fact, and there is no communion with the fact as long as we have an idea, an opinion, a theory about the fact. So we have to be very clear whether we are afraid of the word, the idea, or the fact. If we are face to face with the fact, there is nothing to understand about it. The fact is there and we can deal with it. If we are afraid of the word, then we must understand the word, go into the whole process of what the word, the term implies. It is our opinions, ideas, experiences, our knowledge about the fact that creates fear. So long as there is verbalization of the fact, giving the fact a name, therefore identifying or condemning it, so long as thought is judging the fact as an observer, there must be fear. Thought is the product of the past. It can only exist through verbalization, through symbols, through images. So long as thought is regarding or translating the fact, there must be fear. Similarly, to end the fear of death, we must come in contact with it. Not with the images that the thought has created about death, but we must actually feel the state. Otherwise, there is no end to fear because the word death creates fear, and we don't even want to talk about it. The organism, through usage, through disease, will eventually die. To find out what both living and dying is, one must come into contact with death. That is, one must end every day everything that one knows. One must end the image that one has built up about oneself, about one's family, relationship, the image that one has built through pleasure, through one's relationship to society, everything. That is what's going to take place when death occurs. Why are we afraid of death in the first place? Is it because perhaps you do not know how to live? If you knew how to live fully, would you be afraid of death? You do not live with joy, You are not happy. You are not vitally sensitive to things. And that is why you ask what is going to happen to you when you die. Life for you is sorrow, and so you are much more interested in death. You feel that perhaps there will be happiness after death, but that is a tremendous problem. After all, fear is at the bottom of all this. Fear of dying, fear of living, fear of suffering. If you cannot understand what it is that causes fear and be free of it, then it doesn't matter very much whether you are living or dead. Thank you for staying till the end. I am sure that your such dedication to bring about change, to grow your potential, will not go unrewarded.